Here we have an example of a broken data link, which is what occurs when you move a map document file, an MXD, from one computer or one folder to another, and ArcGIS loses track of where the file that it's trying to refer to happens to be. So an MXD document does not store any data, it just stores annotations to the map, like my scale bar, my labels for the Chilcotin and Fraser rivers, and my legend. What it does not do is store the actual underlying data. It stores directions for the computer to access that data and how to display it when it finds it. So these red exclamation points mean that those directions for how to find the data have been broken. So now I'll show you how to fix that. Select one of these that has the exclamation point, right-click, Properties, Layer Properties, Source, and we are looking for a data set called 250K FLAT. That is effective latitude, a combination of elevation and latitude, which bears on the phenology of plants, insects, other things, when the bud burst happens, when insects emerge from their cocoons. And it is looking in the folder C, Users, nTomso, that's me, GISNT, that's where I store all of my GIS data, in the subfolder DEM, or Digital Elevation Model. So I've since moved computers. I'm no longer in British Columbia, I'm in Maine, but I do have all of these data backed up, just in a different location. So I can go to Set Data Source, one click, and if I go to my backup drive here, British Columbia, that's where I stashed all my doctoral data, GISNT, see we're following the same file path. DEM is still right where I left it, and 250K FLAT is still right there. So I can select that, say Add, and now all the information about that raster has been brought in, and it is now looking in the folder F, British Columbia, GISNT, DEM. Okay, so now we can see the three categories of effective latitude, where the grasslands are, where the Douglas fir forest is, where the lodgepole pine and spruce forests are. So we still haven't got any of these. These are lakes and rivers, which gives context to this map. So we can, again, repeat the process, right-click, Properties, Set Data Source, and again, we have this for reference. We could just click on the exclamation point itself and it would take us to this dialog box, but by going through that procedure, you can see where it's looking, which is useful to find out where things are. So that's in my roaming map folder. That was actually one of my better data management systems because I had all the data I would need to navigate with in the field in one folder. I could easily drop that onto my laptop and then navigate with that in the field. So let's go to the roaming map. Where did I put that? GISNT, roaming map. And we are looking for fifth order rivers, which we have here, fifth order rivers. Add, all the projection information comes in. Okay, and there are all of our fifth order rivers, with the smaller rivers displaying as thinner lines, the bigger rivers as thicker lines. You can see big gaps here, that's where the lakes are. So what's going to happen when I do this, for whatever reason? I already know where I'm looking here, so I clicked on the exclamation point. This one I selected is going to load in all these others because it's going to remind the computer where it's looking for all of this at once, and it's going to look and it's going to find it. So I'm looking for ponds 1 to 40, add, boom. So now all of these have come in. Most of them are not displaying because of the way I have these set. You see how they're grayed out with this little scale bar underneath? If I double click on that and go into the properties, I can go into the display tab, or general tab, sorry, and don't show in when the layer is zoomed out beyond 1 to 70,000. We're way past that. But if we say show the layer at all scales, all of a sudden we have every little pond and every little pond's label set to show up. That is not at all what I intended to have happen. So let's go back to our properties. Don't show that layer. So now when I'm zoomed out, I just have a big view, a 10,000 foot view of this area. But what I can do is, if I'm actually going to be navigating in the field, I can zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, past 1 to 70,000, and now I have every one of these lakes. If it has a name, that name is provided. That is much more useful for navigation. I zoom out, and boom, those go away. The larger lakes still display. Zoom out more. Eventually, only the lakes greater than 500 hectares will display. So the display changes with the scale of the map, which is very handy. Alright, so a way to prevent that from happening at all is to set relative path names. So if you go under File, Map Document Properties, store relative path names to data sources. And this solves the better part of your problems. So if you have this box checked, and if you just move the folder containing this map and all of its data from one location to another, it will correct for that. So if you're no longer in the C drive, now you're in the F drive, it won't break the data links. If, on the other hand, you move the data to one folder, this other data to another folder, and the MXD to a third folder, the data links will still break, and you'll still have to go through this process. But that is how you correct the broken data link situation.